Hey, what's going on, motivators? My name's Corporal Russo, and as always on this channel, we aim to kill your boredom. However, doing something a little different today, something I've been trying to avoid lately, especially with YouTube drama and everything that goes on in the world. I try to keep a more positive outlook, and especially with my YouTube channel, but I feel like I really should talk about this because, and you already know what we're about to talk about. We're about to talk about the Santa Fe incident that happened earlier today. Now, for those of you who don't know, I didn't know about this incident till later on this evening. The way I found out about it was actually through a Twitter post by Murder of Birds, who a lot of you know as Arnold Delgado. Great guy, fellow Ruby Reactor, Rooster Teeth fan. I have nothing against Arnold, but I think what killed me was when he said this was the 22nd school shooting, or he just said 22 school shootings as of 2018. I didn't even know that even happened. I thought he was just making a statement. Then come to find out the Santa Fe thing happened. But what got me was when he left with the hashtag This Is America. And, I saw that video, This Is America, and personally I don't believe that reflects America as a whole. The video just seemed like it was trying to reflect, what has happened really more with black culture than anything else. That's just the vibe I get from it. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. I hope people will respect my opinion, but that's just how the video seems. But no, that is not America as a whole. Okay? Now, back to the situation with the Twitter post is I started seeing people posting more tweets like, oh, this is, Donald Trump's fault, it's the NRA's fault, it's gun owners' fault. But what really set me off was just like, no, it's not anybody's fault. Okay, this person committed a vile act, and they're a criminal. Criminals do not obey the law. Okay, I obey the laws. Okay, I can obey the law. I respect everybody else's gun laws, but I obey the laws here in Virginia. Okay, I am a law-abiding citizen, so I'm not going to go out and kill people. And the thing about this situation is right now, I was avoiding about talking about it because there's still a lot we don't know. I just recently found out what type of guns were used. Turns out it wasn't an AR-15, it wasn't even a rifle. Turns out he had a shotgun and a pistol. What type of shotgun or pistol? I don't know. They haven't released that specific information, so there's still a lot of things we don't know. Was this person on, psychotropic medication? That's a big thing we have to ask. That hasn't been released yet. And this is another thing I wanted to point out. I know what's going to happen now. The media and the Democrats are going to use this as a means, to put our Second Amendment under siege. Okay, and I'm getting really tired of this. If this kid had some prior issues that were reported on to the police, like we happened in Parkland, because if you look at Parkland, the cops knew about that guy they knew about Nicholas Cruz for 7 years. 7 years, all the way up till he was 19 years old, from when he was 12 years old. Okay, from what I've read, it's like between 39 to 45 different phone calls. The FBI got tipped off a whole month before, he shot up the school. Did nothing. Okay, did nothing. We have to look at this does this kid have the same issues? Were the cops called on him before? Does he have any prior mental issues that doctors or psychiatrists knew about? Was he on medication? A lot of these play factors into this. Was he that type of kid at school where, he was turned down by girls, or didn't have a whole lot of friends? Man, what was this kid's deal? Okay, there's still a lot we don't know about, which is why I was avoiding talking about this. But I would like to show you guys something real quick. And I know the media is going to do that. I know politicians are going to do that, especially the Democrats and people on the left. They're going to try to use this as a way to say, oh, I told you so. You told us what? That if we didn't take action sooner, that this wasn't going to happen eventually? No. This person is a monster. They are a criminal. Criminals don't obey the law. This kid is 17 years old, and he got his hands on a handgun and a shotgun. You need at least be 21 to have own a handgun. You have to be 18 to purchase a shotgun. So where did he get them? Supposedly he got it from his father. Not directly. Like, he took his father's guns and used them. This is what I'm reading up right now. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Again, there's still a lot we don't know. A lot of it is just hearsay at the moment. And I guarantee you there's going to be more stuff revealed later on, because that's what always happens. Other stuff is revealed later on. Like, again, with Nicholas Cruz, as an example, we didn't know, a lot of people didn't know that there were 4 deputies at the school when the shooting was going on. A lot of people didn't know the police were called to his home, except for the people who were involved in those incidents. Or the fact that the FBI was tipped off an entire month before this happened. So we need to start looking at this at a bigger picture. And as far as gun ownership goes in America, one second. This is not a product placement for Mountain Dew Lemon Lime, by the way. As gun ownership in America, a lot of times there are people out there who just aren't trained with guns. here's what I mean by training with guns. At a very young age, I was about 3 or 4 years old, I was walking and talking. My grandfather had a Chief Special revolver. That means a 38 Special that holds 5 rounds. He showed it to me, no ammo. But my father, both my grandfathers, like everybody in my family, including my stepdad, both him and my father Marines, they're trying to teach me at a very young age, me and my siblings, how to respect a rifle. They're trying to show me the safety rules, everything like that. And for those of you wondering, before I get on to the big subject, let's talk about that. Does anybody know what the gun safety rules are? A lot of people don't know, because a lot of people don't bother trying to educate themselves on firearms. Even if they don't own a firearm, educate yourself. So let's go down the firearm safety rules. Now, this is what I was taught at boot camp, but it's what's taught everywhere else, okay? Rule number 1, treat every weapon as if it was loaded. How do you treat every weapon as if it was loaded? Simple. You know where you're pointing it, you know how you're handling it. This is basically what I'm going to tell you guys is real gun control. So please listen to what I say. The 4 safety rules, that first one, treat every weapon as if it was loaded, which means don't fuck around with it, keep it on safe, and don't point it at anybody, okay? That's just being stupid. Rule number 2, keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you intend to fire. That means even if you're aiming down, like this, and let me use one of my rifles to show you guys this. Alright, this is a AK-47, everybody. Guess what? Semi-automatic, not fully automatic. Still recognized as a deadly firearm, and probably just me owning this makes me a fucking threat to society, but you know what, that's BS. But here's what it means, okay? Keep your finger straight, your trigger finger, straight and off the trigger until you intend to fire, which means unless you see what you're shooting at, don't be walking around like this. I see a lot of people on the news, when they're handling firearms or talking about them, they always do this bullshit move right here with their trigger finger. They have the finger on the trigger. That's how accidents happen, because people aren't trained or they're not using common sense. So remember, this is safe, this isn't. This is your ultimate safety right here. Okay, you could have this, I could have a magazine in here right now with a round chambered in, and so long as my finger doesn't, isn't on the trigger like this, and it's like this, guess what? It ain't gonna fire. It doesn't have a mind of its own. It's an inanimate object. Okay, so it can't fire on its own. Back to the safety rules, everybody. Rule number 3, never point your weapon at anything you not intend to shoot. Which means if you don't intend to shoot that guy over there, don't do this. Do this. Actually, take the magazine out, cock it back on safe, put it down. Put it on the table, something, okay? That way you're not shooting anybody. If you're gonna put it down on the table, especially at a range, make sure the barrel is facing at the target and not everybody else, okay? You can get kicked off the range for that, and you're gonna look like a total idiot. And probably the golden rule that applies for every firearm, no matter if it's in a case or if you're holding it, keep your weapon on safe until you're ready to fire. It means if your weapon has a safety on it, keep it on safe. Don't switch it to to fire at any time, okay? That's pretty much, that's self-explanatory. I don't know any other way to put that. That's very self-explanatory. So those are your 4 safety rules. And the really messed up thing about this, guys, is that a lot of times people aren't being trained by this, and they're not self-studying about this, okay? You want to learn something really good, you don't need to go to college, you don't need to go into the military. Train yourself, read a book, Google it. That's all I'm saying, okay? But anyway, those are your 4 rifle safety rules on that, okay? And the thing that really pisses me off about this is how on Twitter, when I responded to Arnold's tweet about this, a lot of people started getting on me saying that, oh, well, as far as guns go, well, actually, you know what, let me show you some screenshots about this, okay? And this person I was arguing with, basically saying, like, making fun of Trump, how basically this one person responded with how Trump went to the UK and Ireland, which has no guns, and that basically like, oh, but they have knives. Well, here's the thing. Here's the sad truth. In the United States alone, you're 4 times more likely to get stabbed than shot. That is a statistical fact. You go look at the FBI database on that. They release the information. You can call BS on it if you want, but if you're going to make an argument with someone, make sure you're able to disprove them first. And same thing about the UK. A lot of these other countries that don't have guns or have really, really, really strict gun laws, doesn't mean crime isn't happening. Yes, shootings aren't happening, but what about stabbings? What about bludgeonings, beatings, robbery, rape? All this stuff is happening. Why? Because they know nobody's strapped, so they can't defend themselves. That's what makes America a lot greater than what people make it out to be, okay? I mean, look at Virginia. Open gun state. Not a whole lot happens here, especially where I live. I mean, yeah, you could probably look at this place and be like, oh, this place doesn't seem real safe. But guess what? I've seen people open carry for. I've seen people open carry handguns, open carry shotguns, rifles. In Virginia alone, you can open carry all 3 of those guns without a permit. Okay? Also in Virginia, if you have a concealed carry permit, then you're not limited to the limited specifications of a rifle or any of these guns. I'll give you an example. In Virginia, it states that it will only be unlawful to open carry a rifle or a handgun, that is center fire and semi-automatic if the magazine has more than 20 rounds. Okay, that means for a rifle magazine, taking a 30-round mag, putting 20 rounds in it, no, it doesn't work that way. But if you have a concealed carry permit, it doesn't apply to you. Same thing with silencers and folding stocks for some reason. And I don't mean the silencer, but I mean for the folding stock, that seems to be a big thing. I guess because it makes it easier to conceal. But if you have a concealed carry permit, it doesn't apply to you. Now with shotguns, it says that you're not allowed to have more than 7 rounds of the longest ammunition, which means that shotguns go into 1 1/4 inch rounds, 2 3/4 inch rounds, and 3 inch rounds. So if you have a shotgun that can carry or hold those rounds, which will always say it on the side, guess what? Then the longest ammunition is 3 inches, is those 3 inch rounds. So in a loophole, you can actually carry more of the smaller rounds because it is not the longest round that that shotgun can hold. But if you have a concealed carry permit, guess what? It doesn't apply to you. Why? Because concealed carry holders who have a permit are the most law-abiding citizens out there. They're 6 times more likely not to shoot someone than a cop would. It's a fact. These are all statistical facts that you can easily look up. Where? You can look up in the FBI database. You know, the information's out there. And a lot of people like to say that we're the most dangerous country as far as gun violence. Not true at all. This year alone, we are actually 31. We're the 31st country listed for, you know, gun violence. You know, we're behind Sweden and Norway. I mean, 31, I would take 31 over top 10. We're not even in the top 25. So what does that tell you? That people are just not looking up the information. They're being misled. And a lot of times the media is very biased about this. And it just sucks. I'm going to show you something else that politicians and people in the media like to do. Check this out. I'm going to show you a different rifle than the AK-47. This right here, this is a Galil Ace SAR, okay, or Galil ASAR if you want to call it that. And looks kind of intimidating, doesn't it? Because of all of these cool attachments. It's got a vertical foregrip, nice sights up here that has a laser attachment to it, and a cheek rest. But guess what? This is what politicians like to do. They take guns like this that even without all this stuff, doesn't make it any less dangerous or more dangerous. Okay, it's still going to fire the same round as an AR-15, and guess what? Having all these attachments does not make it deadlier. But that's what they like to do. They like to take out the guns that are really tricked out, that are meant to look dangerous, and then they like to say things like, oh, well, guns like this don't belong on the streets. I disagree. I disagree with that because of the fact that people say, like, oh, there's no need for an AR-15 or a rifle for home defense. A lot of people argue the same thing with the shotgun. Well, there's been plenty of cases where a rifle has been used to defend a home or anybody. And if you guys want, I'll link a video down in the description below. It was a video to prove Bob Costas wrong when it showed different events that happened where an AR-15 came in handy. As a matter of fact, the Texas shooter, not the one in Santa Fe, but the Sutherland Springs shooter, was stopped by a man with a rifle, an AR-15. He was an NRA instructor. You're welcome. Okay, that's all I gotta say. But yet people are still going to point fingers at the NRA, they're going to point fingers at me, and they're going to point fingers at Trump. Here's the overall thing about this. We cannot stop insane people from doing insane things by implying insane laws, okay? Why? Because that's insane. Okay, and I know some of you think I'm crazy about this or I'm not making any sense. Well, a lot of the things I said are true. Okay, you are 4 times more likely to get stabbed in this country than shot. The majority of gun deaths in this country, remember, gun deaths are suicides, but no one wants to talk about that. Why? Because gun violence, you know, it riles people up. I mean, look at the March for Our Lives. I have nothing against, you know, the people in March for Our Lives, except for they need to get their facts straight. That's it, okay? I am against gun violence, okay? And, you know, how do we stop it? You can't stop crime from happening, okay? To say that we're going to stop gun violence is almost like saying that we're going to stop crime completely. You can't stop it. Why? Because criminals don't obey the law. Criminals are always going to find a way around things so they can do what they want to do. They don't care about the law. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. That's the thing. People need to understand that. They need to remember that. They need to recognize that when it comes right down to it, a criminal will not obey the law. Okay? And here's the tricky part of politicians. They talk about taking guns away all the time, especially when incidents like this happen. And I'm no conspiracy theorist, but I find it really odd that of lately, or at least from what I've seen, is that ever since San Bernardino, there's just been this pattern, okay? San Bernardino happened, they talked about the rifle more than they talked about the person. And guess what? They tried to take our guns away, guns were taken away. Fast forward a little bit. I'm not sure this is correct chronological order. I know I said I should probably look this up, but follow me on this. The gay nightclub got shut up because someone had an AR-15. They talked more about the gun than they did the person. Okay, Las Vegas happened. They talked more about the guns than what actually happened. And interesting, of all these incidents, like I said, I believe people died. Okay, but it's how the news is out there telling it. Doesn't make any sense. I would like to talk about Vegas, you know, in another video. If you guys want to hear my thoughts about Vegas, let me know. Or I'll just make that video anyway. But look, Vegas happened. Nothing happened. We were still able to buy bump stocks. I own 4 bump stocks, 2 for AR-15s, 1 for a 308, and 1 for an AK-47. Are they on my rifles right now? No, because I'm a realist. I just have them just to have them. They're paperweights. A bump stock is fucking pointless because it makes the rifle actually more inaccurate than, you know, than shooting semi-automatic. And guess what? You don't even need to be, you don't need a bump stock to fire that, you know, fast like a bump stock. Here's what I mean. They did a video on this. Okay, this fast shooter, Jerry McCurrick, I think this is what his name is. Don't judge me on that one. Showed just how fast he can shoot. He went with against a guy from Iraq, veteran 8888, who had a bump stock, whereas Jerry did not. But Jerry showed just how fast his trigger finger was. And he can fire so fast that he gives the illusion he is shooting full auto, but he's not. Okay, same thing about shotguns. And unfortunately, a shotgun was used in this case, and a handgun. But the thing is that with a shotgun, you know, you don't hear a lot about that in the news. Why? Because the news only seems to really care if, you know, an AR-15 is involved for some reason. That's just how I see it. But when they're going to talk about this, they don't want to recognize that you can fire a shotgun really fast. The Benelli M4, you can fire a shotgun. The shotgun shells is semi-automatic too. What does that mean? Pull a trigger, round goes off. Take a Benelli, you fire it, fire it just as fast. That guy Jerry, I think it was Jerry, had a special type of tube magazine on it that held 24 rounds, and he was able to fire off all those rounds in 8 seconds. That was 24 rounds total, I believe. Okay, I think that's what the video was, but he showed just how fast you can fire these rounds off. Same with lever action. You know, a man showed him shooting a lever action like super fast. He got all rounds off in about 3 seconds. So the whole argument with bump stocks, which I hear every fucking argument when it comes to guns, is, oh, what about bump stocks? What about them? Okay, they're useless. They're paperweights. You don't need them to fire a gun real fast. I just have them just to have them. You know, they're just sitting in my closet right now, collecting dust. I just wanted to own it just to own it. Would I ever put this on one of my rifles? Probably, but that's if I'm at a shooting range or if I'm out shooting somewhere. I'm not going to go light some place up. Okay, I'm not like that. And that's the problem with a lot of these people who do a lot of these, you know, massacres. They're not right in the head. They're not sober. They're fucked up on some type of drug, some type of psychotropic drug, whether it be like them taking it illegally or if it's medication. These kids are not thinking right. They're not in the right mindset. And people don't want to recognize that because they know that if they say that, it goes against their agenda. And the media and the leftists, we've seen what their agenda is. They want to take away all guns. Not just some guns, you know, not the bad guns. What the fuck's a bad gun anyway? Oh, the ones that don't kill. Guns are meant to kill. Okay, I'm not going to hide that fact. That's what they're meant to do. Okay, so as far as the whole, oh, well, you know, guns are meant for hunting. No, they're not. The Second Amendment was written to defend ourselves from an outside force or a tyrannical government, whether it be our own tyrannical government or another one. Okay, because what happened in 1812? We had to defend ourselves against the British. And for those of you who don't know, here's the whole thing about the Second Amendment. Here's what it reads, okay? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, to the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, now realize what this says, a well-regulated militia. Okay, one person brought up about the Parkland shooter. Was he a well-regulated militia necessary to the security of a free state? No. He was a fucking insane psychopath with a gun. Okay, that's not well-regulated, and it's not necessary. Okay, just because someone goes off on a killing spree with a weapon, whether it be a rifle, a shotgun, or a handgun, doesn't mean that it was necessary to a free state. No one's ever saying that. Okay, the NRA does not want everybody to have guns. The NRA would like to have law-abiding citizens' rights not be infringed. But at the same time, they don't want guns in the hands of bad people. And people aren't listening to that, and it just pisses me off. Like, I know I might be seeming like I'm rambling on a bit, but, you know, it's just like, people in general just need to be a lot more educated with this stuff. read a book. Don't just listen to what the news says. Actually read the statistics about this. Learn a little bit about guns. Okay? And I might be going a little off topic here, but the whole point I'm trying to make with this video is that I know this is going to lead to a lot more things. Okay, I know a lot of people in Parkland, like the Parkland survivors. There's a lot of speculation behind David Hogg, whether or not he was there or not, especially what he said in one interview that he wasn't there and that he, rode his bike there, that whole thing. But here's the thing. People on the left are going to use this as a means to say, I told you so. Okay? But here's the thing. You didn't tell us anything. Okay? If we would have implemented something, would this really not happen? Would this have stopped crime in general? No. Because overall, crime is going to happen. We can't stop criminals all the time. Okay? This isn't Minority Report with Tom Cruise where we have psychics in a pool that can see the crimes happening before they actually happen. Okay, it's gonna happen. It's gonna suck, and it sucks knowing that the crime's still gonna happen and not being able to stop it. Well, here's another thing. People always say that there are people out there who put value over a gun more than someone else's life. It's not true. Okay, someone's right to live versus owning a firearm. You have a much higher right to live over a firearm. But here's the thing: a firearm is very tangible. Okay, you can regulate that. Okay, life is not tangible. Life is, you can't control everything that happens in your life. Expect the unexpected. It's an old term, but there's a lot of meaning behind that. Okay, you can go out there with a plan, but the plan isn't always going to work. Why? Because the unexpected always happens. This school shooting, unexpected. And people who were expecting something to happen, I was expecting something to happen because I knew that this whole thing with Parkland and every other school shooting that's happened, or just not even school shooting, just shootings in general, it was going to happen somewhere. Okay, and the fact that there are people who take their own lives more than there is gun violence, homicides for the most part, I'm surprised we're not talking about how to help out with suicide more, since there's more suicide related deaths than there is homicides. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, just because this happened, don't start pointing fingers at people who don't deserve it, okay? No one could have stopped this. Even if you would have implemented a law, it was going to happen. It's always going to happen. No matter what laws we have in place, criminals are going to break the law. I don't know why people can't seem to understand that. And some people might think, oh, you're being insensitive about this. Okay, maybe I am. Maybe a lot of you are saying I'm being insensitive because I don't really feel for the victims and the victims' families. I do. Okay, I fucking do, okay? I lost good people when I was in the Marine Corps. I lost a good friend of mine. We went to boot camp together. We got stationed together. And it just sucked, okay? I know the feeling. So please don't try to say I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, but to say that taking guns away and infringing on my Second Amendment is going to stop all this, it's not. Because when you let people know that, oh, we're taking your guns away, now all the criminals know, oh, they don't have a means to defend themselves. And you know what's going to happen? It's the same thing that's been happening now for a while. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what we should do, what we're going to do, and not do it. We're going to talk about restricting guns. Guns are already heavily regulated. Okay, more regulated now than ever. But so long as there is crime and evil out there, it's going to happen. No matter what. Okay, no matter what country you're in, no matter what type of strict laws they have, criminals are going to just do it because they don't care. Okay, so anybody watching this, just remember everything I've said today or in this video, because just be prepared for when it does happen again. And again, it's going to be at the time you least expect it. Again, expect the unexpected. Don't blame President Trump. It's not his fault. Don't blame the NRA. It's not their fault. They didn't give this kid a weapon. Okay, this kid got them illegally. Okay, if he got them from his father's, then if these were his father's, firearms, then unfortunately his father is going to have to, be questioned. And that's what's bad about it. I don't know how this father raised this kid. Did he take him out shooting? Did he tell him how to respect the gun? Did this father know that he had maybe possibly mentally, was he not right in the head basically? Was he mentally ill? Was he rejected at school a lot from girls, or just didn't fit in? If so, don't put them on drugs. Don't put them on pharmaceuticals. Talk to your kids. That's what my dad and stepdad did, or stepmom did. Sorry. My dad and my stepmom did. They actually sat down and talked with me. They didn't give me medicine. They actually did give me medicine, though. It was Seroquel. But they took me off that shit immediately when they found out, or when they saw that it really wasn't helping me at all. Okay, it wasn't helping me in school. It wasn't helping me with my social life. It wasn't helping me, daily life at home. They saw that it was really messing with me. Took me off of it. Instead, they just taught me. Okay, I'm a better person for it. And anybody else who has kids out there, or better yet, not just kids, I'm going to talk about high school students or just kids in school right now. I don't care if it's elementary, middle, or high school. This whole popularity contest thing, oh, we're the cool kids, don't hang out with us. How about this? Grow the fuck up, extend your arm out, and say, hey, you need help? What's going on with me? I noticed there's things about you. Why? Because at the time, people are going to make fun of you because you're associating yourself with someone who might be going through something. If they're going through something, be mature about it and help them out. Okay, there is nothing wrong with that. I did that with a few people who look like outcasts. Guess what? Became friends with them. They're okay people. Okay? It's just that the whole fitting into the cool kids thing, I was bullied and I didn't fit into the cool kids. I mean, I was accepted later on, but I never felt like I was truly part of, the cliques, of the groups. But it didn't change the fact that I was willing to help out other people who might be going through stuff. I mean, hell, extend your hand out. Get to know them. If they're going through problems at home or at school, lend an ear, lend a shoulder. Do something. Enough with this bullshit popularity thing, okay? It's school life. It's not going to really follow you that far in the real life, okay? It really isn't. Okay, and some of you guys are going to learn it the hard way. You might be the popular girl at school right now, but after you graduate, you move on into the real world, that shit's not going to follow you. It's just going to stay behind in school. And there's a lot of people out there who just can't leave that behind or can't get over the fact that they're not the most popular fucking person anymore. So, a lot of emotion with this. I might be giving some more emotive response than logic, but I'm hoping I'm speaking logic. But at the same time, there's also a lot of emotion behind things. Okay, my emotion is this, is that I don't want my rights or anybody else's rights being infringed upon because of one incident. And some people are saying, well, it's not one incident, it's multiple incidents. Okay. What are we doing about that? We have background checks. The reason some background checks fail is because information is not being reported in to basically make sure people who have violent, I'll put it like this. Okay, according to Dana Lash, who I did research on a lot of stuff she says, and it's really accurate, in 38 states, less than 80% of all information is being submitted. Whether it be criminal activity, if they're a felon, or even if they have medical issues, especially up here. It's not being reported in. That's why people are able to get guns. Apparently 7 million convicts who have felonies can get guns right now because people don't want to, stand up and report the information. And I think that's just the sickening part about that, is that no one wants to say anything. No one wants to report it in, and that's how people are getting away with it. So, sorry, I just had to rant about this because here's the thing. I really don't want anybody else's rights being infringed upon. I really don't. And as far as if I have a solution, the thing is, I don't. I don't have a solution to stop crime. Okay, we can put all the laws out there that we want, but guess what? Criminals don't care. It's going to happen one way or another. Someone's going to get mugged. Someone's going to get stabbed. Someone's going to get shot. Someone's home's going to be broken into. Someone's going to get beaten up. Something's going to happen. It's always going to happen no matter what. My personal belief is that if we're in a country where we can open carry freely and not have strict gun laws like in some of these other states where there's a lot of gun deaths and gun violence, because of those strict gun laws, because criminals know that there are a lot of people out there who don't have a means to defend themselves. But at the same time, I believe in strong background checks. I don't want just anybody to have a gun. Okay? I want a law-abiding citizen who respects the Second Amendment and everybody else's rights to own a gun. Okay? Now, as far as background checks go, guess what? If that person went to a therapy session and they went to see a psychologist, and that psychologist has information that would probably help prevent an incident from happening, like there's someone, and like they know something's not, right with that person, whether they be schizophrenic or just not right in the head. Guess what? Doc, report that shit. Okay, help out. I mean, I don't know what doctors do. I mean, I know there's the whole doctor-patient relationship thing, which I think is kind of bullshit, especially if the person has admitted that they've probably thought about hurting people or themselves or anything like that. But again, as far as a country goes, as a country, there's only so much we can do. Okay, I'm not in any big office. I'm in my room ranting about this. So, I mean, honestly, the answer isn't to take away our firearms. It really isn't. And for anybody who wants to compare us to other countries, just remember, don't talk about just guns. Look at crime, overall crime as a whole. Okay, that's what we're missing out on. We're not looking at crime overall as a whole. We're only fixated on one thing. Okay, guns and schools. Okay, and again, in gun-free zones, that's where 98.5% of all crime occurs, in gun-free zones. Okay, but unfortunately, schools and firearms are just one small piece of the pie when it comes to crime overall. There's people getting stabbed, there's people getting beaten up, there's a lot of things that are happening. And the reason a lot of these things happen is because people see that, oh, they don't have a firearm to defend themselves. Okay, that's why. Whether they just see that they don't have it or they know they don't have it. Okay, and all of that has to do with some of the gun laws, put into other people, put into other states. Like California, St. Louis, and Detroit. Strict gun laws, but yet gun deaths still happens. Why aren't we hearing about those gun deaths? Because apparently here in America and in the media, they're not important enough. It only happens if there's an AR-15 involved and a school. That's it. And again, here's another thing I don't like. With the Maryland school shooting that happened earlier this year as well, guess what? 2 people got injured, but it took a good guy with a gun to stop that incident from happening. But the news didn't want to report that because everybody has their own fucking bias, their own fucking agenda, and the agenda is straight and simple. Take away the guns. And they're going to look at any means, basically, to use an excuse to say, hey, we're going to take your guns away because of this and that. Now, here's another thing. The shooting that happened at Sutherland Springs. Guess what? People heard about that, but guess what? There's a lot about it you don't know that. The most common thing is no one knows the name of the guy who stopped the shooter. Okay? His name was Stephen Williford. NRA instructor, a good man with a gun, stopped the bad guy. And if I were to have a solution for any of this, honestly, I think we should put armed security at our schools. You know why? Because where else do we have armed security? We had them at sporting events. Even at NASCAR races, there's armed security. But we also have armed security at banks, and we also have armed security at jewelry stores. There is armed security at jewelry stores, which I think is crazy. So if we're going to put so much value on paper, metal, and rocks, are you saying that those 3 things outweigh the protection of our children? I mean, think about that. If we're going to put armed security guards at banks and jewelry stores, why wouldn't we do it for schools? Okay, in my opinion, you should never put personal stuff like that, like money and jewelry, over the life of someone else. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, think about that. Armed security at places for earrings and coins. I mean, I can understand the whole thing with banks, but the jewelry store, I don't agree with that. I really don't agree, man. Some people might argue, oh, well, it's just like a bank. There are valuables in there. Well, you know what else is valuable? The life of our kids. Why would we not want to protect that? Because kids want to argue saying, oh, we don't want to feel like a prison. It's not a prison. Okay, you go to school to learn stuff. Guess what? When it's a gun-free zone for citizens, guess what? A criminal's going to see it's a gun-free zone, go and shoot the place up. If there's armed security, they won't do it. Okay, look at a lot of buildings in Washington, D.C. White House, okay, the Lincoln Memorial, State Department. I worked at the State Department. I did private security in the State Department. And guess what? That place didn't get shot up the whole time I was there. Or ever, really. I can't really think of a time where it was. If there was one, I don't remember hearing about it. I haven't read about the news or in the news or online. But because we have armed security there 24/7. Same thing with the Treasury. If these places have armed security and there's no one shooting you up, why would we not do it for schools? Okay? And if you want people to put on there, guess what? Let's get all the homeless veterans or veterans that don't have jobs, who have a roof over their head but don't have a job, let's get them on board with that. Okay, I was part of Camp Lejeune's QRF, Quick Reaction Force. So why would we not put veterans up there? They know how to handle the gun. They've been through the training. I say let's go that route, but no one wants to talk about that. They want to talk about what they seem to be the easier at, which is take away the guns. Hell, a more cost-effective way. You can hire off-duty cops as security guards for $25 an hour. Cost-effective. Why can't we do that with veterans? You know, especially the ones who are homeless or might become homeless, who are jobless. I say let's go that route. I have a plan, actually, that would lower the homeless rate or the amount of homeless people who are veterans. Hell, it could possibly mean all the homeless vets won't be homeless anymore because they'll have jobs. But no one wants to listen to me. They'd rather listen to the politicians who are just going to say, oh, we told you so. That's it. But anyway, guys, I'm kind of rambling on right here. I'm sorry for ranting like this. It's just that, you know, I couldn't keep my mouth shut about this anymore. You know, feel free to agree and disagree with me in the comments below. I'll be more than willing to have an open dialogue with someone. A respectable open dialogue. So please keep it simple. Don't just be like, fuck you, you're wrong. Okay, but if I'm wrong, tell me how I'm wrong. Okay, if the idea of putting a veteran who has had the training with a firearm, both rifle and pistol, and a lot of cases, shotgun, a lot of veterans own their own firearms, or have owned their own firearms, then tell me how that wouldn't help. I mean, you cut the training portion in half almost. So, guys, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, thank you very much. I just really wanted to talk about this, and again, you know, this is my personal opinion on things. I just read statistics online, you know, the real ones, but feel free to, you know, disagree with me. This is what the beauty of YouTube. I'm allowing you guys to disagree with me. And if anything, I'll have an open dialogue with you guys in the comments. And I'll keep it respectful so long as you keep it respectable. That's it. So again, thanks for watching. I'm not going to ask you guys to subscribe or anything. This is not a video meant to gain subscribers. Just my personal view on it. You know, feel free to share it. If you made it this far, you know, leave a like if you want. But again, you know, this is just how I feel about it. And that being said, thanks for watching. And you guys have a good night, all right? Later.